good, YouTube? Welcome back to JY's Adventures. You guys are the best. You guys are amazing. Remember, you can accomplish anything you put your mind to. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot more people tuning in. I really appreciate y'all with all my heart. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it really means a lot to me. You know what I'm saying? That you guys are supporting these videos. Just a humble, chill dude, having fun on YouTube, and you know, finding people that relate to the same things I do as a homie, as a friend. You know, we got a nice little community here to just have fun together. You know what I'm saying? In this video, we're gonna be checking out how to beat the Xenomorph in Alien. This was in my recommended a lot, you know what I'm saying? So YouTube was probably telling me, yo, you gotta check this out. I watched Alien. If you haven't watched Alien, you know what I'm saying, it's one of the classic old school horror movies. Alien versus Predator as well. If you don't know about that, fam, you gotta go educate yourself. Okay, this is by the Legend Cinema Summary. We're gonna just hop right into it. Link to the original videos down in the description. If you're new to the channel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Without any further ado, let's go.
You're trapped on a spaceship and hunted down by the most dangerous monster in the galaxy. Nobody is coming to help. Every single crewmate is being killed and you have no idea where it is. You'll have to survive alien parasites, giving birth to monsters straight from your nightmares, and escape the perfect killing machine before the spaceship explodes. What do you do when an unstoppable alien wants to brutally murder you? I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the Xenomorph in Alien. These pods might as well be coffins. This crew of astronauts have just woken up from months of cryosleep and are excited to finally return back to Earth after a long job in outer space.
Cryostasis.
They're enjoying the first meal they've had in months when Captain Dallas here gets a call from the ship's computer, and it's going to be nothing but bad news from this point on. The rest of the crew head to the cockpit to find out where they are and discover they're nowhere close to Earth and that the ship has stopped in a completely different star system. They're too far away from home and no one's around to help them. The crew gathers in the kitchen, and the captain reveals that they've been woken up to investigate a mysterious signal from a nearby planet. None of the crew want to go, but Ash here tells them it's in their contract, and as the science officer, he must ensure the ship's protocols. If they don't investigate, the company won't pay them their shares, and with their salaries held hostage, they all agree to go check it out.
Gotta get that bag.
These guys clearly should have read the fine print, because when one small rule like this could strip you of months or years of salary, that's a bad deal no matter who you are. But if this is going to be a rescue mission, there's an even bigger problem here, because this ship is not built to pick up strangers. Right now they have a crew of 7, but every single crowd chamber is being used. I'm not sharing my sleeping pod with a stranger for 10 months unless it's Gamora. But if we already know this company doesn't prioritize the lives of the crew, it's probably going to have the minimum amount of food, water, and oxygen for the original mission, and we won't have enough to survive the trip home. Not only that, but their emergency escape shuttle only holds 3 people, so this entire situation is way too dangerous. I would try to erase any evidence of the transmission from the ship's computer system and continue the journey back to Earth in cryosleep. Everyone here is a gig worker trying to earn a living, and when you're working for a multi-trillion-dollar company that doesn't give a crap about you, then you need to take whatever you can get away with and protect yourself from the evil corporatocracy. They head to the planet's moon where the transmission is coming from, but when they touch down on its surface, they find out their rocky landing has damaged the ship. Recovering from their crash, they try to contact the signal's broadcaster, but there's no response over the radio, and all the other channels are dead. They head out into the air.
Yo, what do you guys think about like space travel, and like, do y'all really think space travel will be like something common to us in the future? Because space travel is so risky. And like one little slip up and it's like boom, like you're stuck on a random planet with no gravity, etc., no oxygen. You know what I'm saying? Crazy.
But there's no response over the radio, and all the other channels are dead. They head out into the alien landscape to find the signal's location, but the captain has no idea he's leading them straight to their deaths. They finally reach the source, and the team is amazed to discover that the signal is coming from a wrecked alien spaceship, and as they walk closer, the ship loses connection to their body cams. Okay, everyone here should be pissing their pants right now, because if this is humanity's first alien contact, then we are all doomed. We can generally assume that any extraterrestrial being we encounter would be so much more advanced that we would be like a wild animal to them. This should terrify us, because on Earth, we hunt wild animals for sport, bulldoze their forests, mine the resources of their environments, and even eat them for snacks. This is why nobody here should be approaching this alien ship. It's
Right.
way too much a risk, and it has a reasonable chance to get you and your entire race killed. However, if there were ever a time to sell out humanity, this would be it. The thought of being the first man to walk on board an alien craft is way too cool an experience to pass up. I would gather intel and take it back to Earth, where I would become rich and famous for bringing our first alien
discovering
encounter to the world. Right now, we need to be seriously considering making a good impression on these aliens so that they spare us. And lucky for us, there's a perfect weapon that's been developed by two geniuses on Earth to get the job done. Bride Sellers is a monthly wine subscription founded by two MIT grads. All you have to do is take a less than 30-second quiz, and the algorithm matches you with wines you're guaranteed to like based on your taste profile, guaranteed.
Whoa!
Sellers will send
That's
you
a
a
cool
purchase
sponsor.
gift. I'm a beginner. It comes in personalized wine.com/how to
Wine,
beat to get 60% off your first 4-bottle box, so there's plenty to start a wine tasting party with our fellow aliens. Thanks, Bride Sellers, for sponsoring today's video. Investigating the ship, the team climbs into a massive room where they find a giant dead alien fused to a chair, and the bones in the creature's chest are bending like it exploded from the inside out. Kane here finds
That
a hole
creeped me out
burned into
so
the floor
much.
and tells the others to help him check it out. They lower him down into a shaft, and he explores this cave where he finds a cluster of eggs covering the ground.
The ship
Getting
itself
closer to
was
inspecting
creepy.
them, he notices that there's something alive inside, and it's moving. Suddenly, the top of the egg opens, and when
opens
he
up.
looks inside, a creature jumps out and latches onto his helmet. The scouting party rushes back to the shuttle, and they manage to drag their injured crewmate up to the ship. They need to get the injured man treated right away, but when Ripley here finds out that an unknown organism has attached itself to one of the crew, she refuses to let them in. She's not going to risk everyone's lives, but Ash here takes matters into his own hands and opens the door, dooming them all. Okay, this
Bad
was a
move.
dick move. Ripley was
Right.
going to leave 3 of her crew members out to dry on an alien planet for 24 hours in order to follow protocol, and it was exactly the right thing to
The
do
smart thing
because
to
they're
do.
putting everyone's
Quarantine.
lives at risk. Now earlier, the captain used the rulebook as a way to make everyone investigate the signal beacon, or else their shares and profit would be withheld. Now, they want to break the rules for something that's going to endanger everyone in the ship. This is extremely hypocritical, but we can also use the rulebook against him. I would point out that bringing an unknown life form on board endangers the cargo that belongs to the company they are transporting. This is
Oh,
not
that's
just
true.
bad for their lives, it's bad for their business.
money.
The first trillionaire will most likely be whoever successfully mines goods from outer space. Now, today's International Space Station cost $150 billion to build, so this ship, along with the goods they are transporting, could very well be worth hundreds of billions of dollars. And I don't want to be held
Instantly.
responsible for that kind of loss because I didn't follow protocol.
Instantly
I would
mess
threaten
up
to
their
report
bag.
them to the company to withhold their salaries because they're endangering the property of the company. The man
Right.
knew the risks when he signed up for the mission, and it's time we all accept it and leave him outside to
Leave
defend
him
for
outside with
himself.
that thing.
In the infirmary,
I'd do
they
the
cut off
same.
the man's helmet and find the alien life form
It's
attached to his face. He's still alive, but no one
Oh,
on
it
board
was so
has ever
creepy when
seen
I saw it.
anything like this before. Attached to his face. He's still alive, but no one on board has ever seen anything like this before. Ash here tries to remove one of the alien's claws, but its tail wraps tighter around his throat. Putting him into the scanner to learn more, they discover that the facehugger has inserted something into his throat. It looks like it's pumping oxygen directly into his body. The science officer cuts through the alien's claw, but acidic blood spurts out of the wound and melts straight through the floor. Running out of the
Acidic
infirmary,
blood
the
too,
captain
yeah.
rushes to the lower decks with the rest of the crew and sees that it's melted through several floors of the ship. They realize the creature's blood is a super acid, and there's no way they can cut off the facehugger without hurting someone or damaging the ship. Okay, this creature is way too dangerous to experiment on, and we need to use as much circumstantial information as we can to figure
at
out
how
what this thing is, what it's
nasty it
doing,
looks.
and how to kill it before it kills us. Thankfully,
Kill it
there's a
before
lot
it
of
kills us,
information that
yes.
we already have at our disposal to use against this thing. First of all, it's reasonable to assume that this creature is acting on the evolutionary instinct of survival, and attaching itself to someone's face is to either eat, breed, or for self-defense. But we can actually eliminate one of these options, because if it's feeding the man oxygen to keep him alive, then this would contradict an act of self-defense.
No, it's
This
not
means the alien
self-defense.
is using the host to serve
To
a
eat or to
biological need,
breed.
and therefore, the best way to attack this thing is by attacking the human he's attached to. I would start by putting them both in cryosleep, because we will starve his human body from its vital resources, such as blood and oxygen.
Oh,
Our present-day
smart.
understanding of cryosleep technology is that it brings the core body temperature to
Very
around
cold.
minus 200 degrees Celsius, replaces blood with antifreeze to preserve their organs under extreme temperatures, and puts an oxygen-rich slurry into the lungs so breathing is unnecessary. This process keeps him alive while being effectively dead. All of these things together might be enough to toxify the human host to make him no longer desirable to the alien as a source
And
of
the
food
alien
or breeding, and
pops
he'll
off.
let go. We also know that this thing's natural climate requires a humid environment because when they found the nest of eggs, this man noticed that it had a layer of hot mist protecting them. So by lowering the temperature to minus 200 degrees, this might kill the creature from hypothermia and freeze its acidic blood inside of its body so it can't spill out. Even if this doesn't kill it, we can keep it contained in the sleep chamber so it can't escape and remains observable to the crew, and let the scientists back at Wayland Tech deal with it on Earth. Later in the infirmary, Ripley comes to ask Ash here what he's learned about the alien, and he tells her it's shedding its cells and replacing them with polarized silicon. Ash here explains that he broke the rules to save his crewmate's life. He's keeping a secret, but she doesn't realize his own agenda is just as dangerous as the creature they brought on board. Later, the captain gets called to the infirmary and he arrives with Ripley where they find that their crewmate is still unconscious and the facehugger has gone missing. Everyone cautiously searches the room, while Ripley here checks on her crewmate. But suddenly, the alien drops into her shoulder and she tosses it to the ground in a panic. Realizing it's now dead, they put the alien's corpse on the table to inspect it further, but Ripley here insists they need to throw it off the ship. Ash brushes her off and tells the captain they need to bring it back to the company to study, and the captain puts the decision in his hands. Okay, we can't trust this guy. The one thing we know for certain is that he does have an agenda. When she came in to speak with him, he even turned off the monitors so she couldn't see the information he was studying, and that is fishy as hell. There's clearly more that he's not telling us, so we need to do everything we can to undermine his every decision. We still have an alien corpse filled with acid blood on the ship, and we need to make sure it poses no possible threat to us. It could be releasing toxins into the air as another defense mechanism, or any number of dangers that could get us all killed. I would suggest we keep it in a container that it can't melt through, and thankfully, they actually have the right kind of material to do that. Teflon is a substance that has very strong atomic bonds, and is so unreactive to other chemicals that even fluoroantimonic acid, one of the most dangerous chemicals in the world, is stored in Teflon containers. It's also commonly used on spaceships in the construction of heat shields, the spacesuits worn by astronauts, and even the liners of the cargo hold. The engineers can salvage material from the suit, as well as the cargo hold, and weld together a box made from pure Teflon. This should keep the alien corpse secure until we get back to planet Earth, and keep us safe from any physical harm while ensuring that we meet the company's demands. The mechanics manage to fix the ship just enough to take off. They enter outer space and can finally make their journey back home, but when the crew gathers again to discuss what to do, the navigator comes in, saying it will take them another 10 months until they reach Earth. Suddenly, the science officer calls over the intercom and tells them their crewmate Kane is awake. They head to the infirmary and are all shocked to find him alive and well. He can't remember anything that happened to him, but he's feeling healthy and is ready to rejoin the crew. At dinner, Kane here is devouring his food when he suddenly starts coughing and seizing in pain. He collapses on the table as his crewmates hold him down, but he suddenly lets out an agonized scream as something bursts out of his chest. The crew is shocked to see the head of an alien poke out and look around the room. Parker here grabs a knife to kill it, but the science officer stops him, and before anyone can contain it, the creature bares its teeth and sprints off the table, leaving the crewmates frozen in horror. Okay, this has got to be one of the scariest gender reveal parties I've ever seen. If I found out an alien was my friend in the face and impregnated him in the mouth, I would be freaking out just like they are. But this entire situation is almost completely their fault, because letting this guy out of quarantine was a huge mistake. He had an unknown extraterrestrial species feeding alien compounds into his body, and that's not safe for anyone. Now, at this point, I think it's safe to say we have a majority vote to kill this thing. But to kill it, we need to first understand what its strengths and weaknesses are. And we can use evolutionary biology to learn a lot about this thing with a single look. First of all, this thing has extremely sharp teeth, well suited for ripping through meat, which means it's a carnivore. It also doesn't appear to have sensory organs such as ears, eyes, or even a nose. But it must have another method of taking in its surroundings. Based on what we know from species on Earth, it might have a pit organ like a viper snake and would allow the creature to see infrared radiation being emitted from warm bodies. This would make them extremely good at ambushing prey completely in the dark. It might even detect vibrations and sound waves through a form of echolocation, and could hear where you are with every sound you make. But the most horrifying takeaway here is this creature's head size, because in evolution, a larger head could be a sign of higher intelligence, and it could even be the reason why the facehugger needed a human host. For humans, babies are born when their brains are less than 30% of the adult brain size so that they can fit through the pelvis, and this doesn't even appear to have a womb. All of these biological markers tell us the chestburster is a highly intelligent and adaptive apex predator, and the only food source available for this creature are the human crew and this little kitty here. The best thing to do with all this information is to test the theory and use the limitations of its biology against it. I would activate all the alarms and klaxons we have available because the noise will reverberate throughout the ship and it might overwhelm the alien's sense of vibrational hearing or whatever form of sensory perception it might have. If the theory is correct and it works, this could render the alien blind and would basically act as a camouflage for us to move through the ship and attack it with everything we have at our disposal. The crew gather in the lower decks to discuss how they're going to hunt the alien, and all they've got is an electric prod and a short-range motion tracker to detect its movements. The captain orders them all to split up and look through the ship, and if anyone finds the alien, they should catch and throw it out the airlock. Ripley here takes 2 others to search for the creature, but one of the engineers goes off on his own to another room. He finds something on the ground and realizes that this thing has just shed its skin, and that could only mean it's getting bigger. Entering the next room, the engineer finds the cat hiding in a corner, but the animal hisses at something behind him. Turning around, he looks into the face of the alien, fully matured and more deadly than ever. The creature pulls him up into the ventilation shaft as he screams for help, and Ripley and Parker here run in, but they're too late to save him. Okay, this is why you should never trust a cat. This feline sold this engineer out big time, and it was cold-blooded, but that's exactly the right strategy to use to stay alive. We don't know where the alien is, but we will be able to find out more about what the alien wants and how it behaves depending on what it might do to a cat. I would hang the cat in a net and suspend it in the middle of the airlock hatch, and if the alien falls for the live bait, we close the hatch remotely and shoot them both out into space. And before anyone gets mad at me, NASA has a long history.
I would feel sad about losing the cat, but we know how to beat, guys. I'm sorry, fam. Like he said, before anyone gets mad at him, let him explain.
And shoot them both out into space. And before anyone gets mad at me, NASA has a long history of sending monkeys and dogs into space, and 100% of them have died for no reason at all. I'm turning this pussycat into a hero by saving everyone's lives, but there are also a few other things they could have done better here. This motion detection device Ash made is very clever, but it's also something that's going to lead you straight into danger, because the short range requires you to already be close enough to the alien to be putting your life at risk. On a ship that requires years of travel, there's never only one of anything, and there's most likely material to build more, so the smarter thing to do is make several of them to plant throughout the ship at key junctions, such as the engine room or the life support system. This will help them protect their vital resources and keep track of the alien all from a place of safety instead of going to hunt for it blindly with a single motion detector gun. Parker here is certain it's using the air vents to move around the ship, and the captain comes up with another plan. By blocking out the other pathways, they can lure the alien into the main airlock and eject it from the ship. The rest of the crew get into position to close off the vents, as the captain crawls deep into the ship with flamethrower in hand to hunt down the alien. Suddenly, the navigator notices a second signature on the motion detector and warns the captain that the alien is headed straight towards him. They close off all the vents behind him to trap the creature in, and the captain begins to panic, but it's nowhere in sight. He tries to escape down a ladder, but he's just made his last mistake. The alien has found him, and the crew loses contact. Okay. Volunteering yourself to chase an alien down a narrow ventilation shaft in the middle of space with a flamethrower is possibly the dumbest way to get yourself killed. There's nowhere to run away, and also fire and outer space do not play well together. It could destroy the ship if it ignites certain gases that are taken into the rest of the ship through the air vents where he's currently sitting. In all seriousness, even farts are dangerous in space because the gases are flammable, which can quickly become a problem in a tiny pressurized capsule where the gases have nowhere to go. But there is one weapon here that could help them kill the alien a lot more safely, and they don't even know they already have the answers. Earlier, the science officer told Ripley that the facehugger was adapting to its environment and turning itself into a silicon-based lifeform on a cellular level. This gives us reason to think that this xenomorph is also likely to be silicon-based. Now what's great about this is that silicon is vulnerable to extreme changes in temperature, and much like a glass that goes from hot to cold too quickly, it will shatter under these conditions. So this is our best and only way to kill the beast. We have the perfect tools to accomplish this, because space is an environment of extremes, and luckily the standard issue fire extinguisher on a spaceship is filled with liquid carbon dioxide and shoots out at a freezing minus 55 degrees Celsius. Now we can use a flamethrower safely, because it could burn as hot as 815 degrees, but we'll be able to douse the flames immediately before damaging any part of the ship. This will give us the extreme temperature conditions to kill this alien and shatter him into pieces. With their captain dead, the crew discuss what their next course of action should be, and Ripley here takes charge, suggesting they stick to the captain's plan, but the navigator is terrified. She doesn't want to stay on the ship any longer, but the engineer refuses to leave without killing the alien. Looking for answers, Ripley enters the computer room and makes an inquiry on how to kill the xenomorph, but discovers the information is classified and for the science officer's eyes only. Determined, she overrides the computer and finds out that Ash was ordered to bring the alien back to the company at any cost. That's when he suddenly appears next to her, and the woman shoves him against the wall, realizing it's his fault her crewmates are dead. She leaves the room and tries to get in contact with the others, but all the channels are down and the door closes shut. The science officer doesn't want her to escape. Okay, Bilbo Baggins here is starting to show his true colors, and I'm not liking this side of him. The company is literally telling this guy to prioritize the survival of the alien over everyone else's lives, and
you couldn't even take it back dead so they could examine it? You know what I'm saying? Take it back alive? That's too risky.
But he is literally telling this guy to prioritize the survival of the alien over everyone else's lives, including his own. But the fact that he's still following orders means that we can't reason with him. The only way to survive this is to convince him we are on his side. I'll say and do whatever I have to keep myself alive in the moment, even if that means befriending the enemy. Once he lets us out, I would let the crew know this information because we will have strength in numbers to use against him, and I see no better solution than to kill him. Now, if we make it back to Earth, they will still have the computer records from the ship, and they'll find that she overrode the system to get the information about this special order. We can't just delete the data because we still have to explain all the crew members' deaths, but a lie is always more convincing when it's 90% true. I would admit to the company there was an alien, but say the alien killed the science officer and that the secret order was only investigated after his death. Ripley here demands to be let through, but the man attacks her. He throws her across the room, knocking her out, and rolls up a magazine to shove down Ripley's throat. The other crewmates arrive and try to pull him off of her, but he's too strong. Parker here finds a fire extinguisher and hits him so hard that his head tears off his body, and the man realizes Ash here is actually an android. With the killer robot now neutralized, Ripley thinks their only option left is to blow up the ship and take their chances in the emergency escape shuttle. Walking through the deck, the engineer tells them once they activate the self-destruct sequence, they'll only have 10 minutes to evacuate. Ripley here instructs them to grab coolant for the spacecraft while she gets it ready for their escape and to get back before time runs out. Entering the hangar bay, she undocks the shuttle from the rest of the ship and prepares it for takeoff, but she hears the sound of the cat meowing somewhere on board. Ripley here doesn't want to leave any innocent life behind and goes off to search for it.
To save the cat.
Okay, I would ditch the crew to escape in the shuttle on my own. It's an unpopular move, but waiting for these guys to get back to the ship will lure the...
Oh, savage! This is a how to meet though, so you gotta be savage. At that moment, she could have literally just left by herself.
in the shuttle on my own. It's an unpopular move, but waiting for these guys to get back to the ship will lure the alien to our only escape vehicle, and that's going to get us all killed. We should also consider that this vessel is the outer space equivalent of a lifeboat, and there are only enough supplies for every person that is supposed to be on it. The shuttle can only take 3 people, and the food, water, and the oxygen will last much longer when you only have to worry about one person. We need all the resources we can get, because if it was going to take us 10 months to get to Earth on the mothership, it's going to take a lot longer in a lifeboat that wasn't designed for interstellar travel. I know it's a bad look, but choosing between one survivor or no survivors is an easy decision to make. So saving yourself is the responsible thing to do here, and we can pay them all back by honoring their memories and tell everyone how they all bravely sacrificed their lives to save mine. The other crew members gather the coolant tanks from the deck, but the navigator sees the alien standing right behind her. The engineer wants to burn the creature, but the woman is standing in his way and is too terrified to move. He runs in for the kill, but the alien grabs him, revealing his inner set of teeth that will end this man's life. Ripley here finds the cat prowling around in the cockpit and puts it away in a pet cage. That's when she hears her crewmates screaming about the alien over the comms. She runs back into the mothership to check on them, but the woman arrives too late. All that's left are their dead bodies, and now Ripley is the last member of her crew. She's the last one left. Running to the reactor room of the ship, she activates the emergency self-destruct system. She sneaks through the hallways, looking out for any sign of the alien, and makes her way back to the shuttle. Getting on board, she's got 1 minute until the ship explodes and starts up the launch sequence. The escape shuttle disconnects from the Nostromo and flies off into space, leaving the ship behind as it explodes to pieces. Okay, this was a terrible waste of resources. I can't blame her for running away in the shuttle, but I would have tried one last way to keep the ship before blowing it up for good. Because I would rather spend 10 months in cryosleep heading back to Earth than a decade in a small shuttle rationing food. All spaceships have a life support system that pumps water and oxygen throughout the ship to keep everyone alive, and these can be deactivated in case of emergencies. Now, we don't exactly know how this xenomorph breathes, but biology and biochemistry gives us a pretty good idea of what this thing needs to survive. Complex multicellular life only evolves where it has access to the boost in energy.
I mean, it's an alien, so it might not want food and water, but it needs something to survive, like some type of sustenance, right?
Complex multicellular life only evolves where it has access to the boost in energy provided by oxygen. This means the bigger and more sophisticated an organism gets, the more oxygen it needs in order to break nutrients down into energy. An alien this big and this intelligent needs a lot of energy to fuel itself, so it's reasonable to assume it needs just as much oxygen as we do to survive. In a last-ditch effort to keep our interstellar ship, I would get into a spacesuit with oxygen reserves and deactivate both the artificial gravity and life support system throughout the ship. Now, this puts us in some danger because a normal modern-day spacesuit takes 45 minutes to put on and weighs 280 pounds, which makes it the worst thing to have if you need to run for your life.
To get away.
If we stay in hiding somewhere close to the shuttle and wait for long enough, we might find that it has suffocated without oxygen and we can keep the ship without blowing it to Kingdom Come. Later, she gets ready to enter hypersleep, but as she's doing some last-minute preparation, a black hand suddenly swings down. The alien has snuck onto the escape shuttle and there's no escape. She runs to hide in a closet and watches in horror as the creature moves through the ship. Seeing a spacesuit hanging next to her, she comes up with a plan and slowly puts it on for one final showdown. Loading her harpoon gun, she steps out of the storage closet and straps herself in. She vents gas into the alien, angering it out of hiding. Ripley turns her back to wait for the creature to approach her, but just before it strikes, she slams a button on the console. The alien suddenly goes flying as the airlock door opens and the vacuum pulls it into outer space. Ripley shoots it with her harpoon gun, knocking it out of the shuttle and activates the thrusters to blast it away. Relieved that it's now over, she makes a recording about the fate of her crew before going back into hypersleep and waits for her shuttle to be found.
But what do you think? How would you beat Alien? Let me know with a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching, leave a like and subscribe, and check out the How to Beat playlist for more videos like this. Until next time, have a damn good day.
You too, fam. Hey y'all, classic horror, sci-fi horror movie, fam. One of the legendary movies that influenced pop culture, fam. Great How to Beat. A lot of the concepts that he brought here, as usual, never would have even thought about. You know what I'm saying? Especially like cutting off the oxygen supply. Let me know what y'all thought of the video down in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of my reaction. As always, video was a banger from Cinema Summary. As always a great video, always a great time. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.